It's Bourbon Night. Hello, I'm Chad.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, we have a familiar yet new edition of a bottle here on the table. What do we have?
We have Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery 11.
Disco 11. Now, we should say that this episode is not sponsored, but it is brought to you by the support we get from our patrons at patreon.com and our support on our website, whiskyambitions.com, but more on that later.
I can't believe this is number 11, because I feel like, we started around the same time as Bardstown Bourbon Company started in terms of our channel. Obviously, they've made a lot more whiskey than us. Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series 11. It's Bourbon Night. Zero. With the barrel picks. We have barrel picks.
Barrel picks.
It's been really cool to see them grow over time and just all the different types of collabs and releases that they put out. But I think...
Pops cork pop.
But I think something that we share with a lot of our audience is loving some of those initial Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series releases.
This is a return to the all Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey blend in here. As we said, the first since number 4.
And that is very exciting. Although we do like the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. There have been some great ones in there, but 3 and 4 are a lot of people's favorites. So is 11 able to beat one of those? Maybe we'll find out later.
Will we try it later? I don't know. Stay tuned.
Oh, yeah.
That is a classic
Oh,
nose.
gosh. Butter, caramel.
Butter. He says
butter. Caramel, vanilla, classic bourbon notes.
Yeah, very buttery caramel. Caramel, for those of you who don't like that.
Oh, boy. Yeah, some wood notes in there, some spice, like some black pepper.
Like a really delicate cinnamon. Gosh, the more you sit with this one, I feel like the more notes you kind of uncover. And I don't know, and that may be, a result of the blending of these different whiskeys,
Mash
different
bills.
bourbons together. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of orange peel kind of in there. Sort of a little, like old-fashioned.
Okay.
Esque.
Well, I want to try it.
To your health.
Oh.
It's
okay.
Magic. All right, well, here's the thing.
Try to hide your feelings better, Chad.
No,
I'm struggling.
Here's the thing. We should talk about the price first, because some people, either you buy bourbons that are over $100 or you don't.
And that's okay either way. There are great things to drink in either category.
We all have different budgets, and we all have different feelings on how to spend our money. The price has gone up a little bit over time in these 11 releases. This one's more around the, I think, $139.
$139.99.
We bought this at Bourbon on the Banks. They had a booth there. We bought the bottle there, and I was just so excited because it had come out the day before that I don't even remember what it cost. But I think it was around there, $139.
I think it's around $140, yeah.
Yeah, $145, something.
And a lot of people say that's too much for me. In my opinion, I don't believe that there's a bourbon that can drink better than, say, $100. $100 is the maximum I'm willing to spend.
Yeah, some people say $50.
Or $50.
Right.
And that's totally fine.
Yes.
But we know now, roughly, we get charged based on the year. Well, this is 73% of a 13-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So by that logic, $139.99. Majority of this is 13-year. That's roughly puts us in the right price range, so I get it.
Counterpoint, someone would say, well, with bourbon, of course, if it is age-stated, which this is technically not, you have to go by the youngest in the blend.
That's true.
Which would be 6-year. 6% of this is their own mash bill, which is 6%. But letter of the law, if they were to put an age statement here, it would say 6 years. So then you got the people saying, no way I would pay $140 for a 6-year-old bourbon.
That's correct, and that's why I love that they put the mash bill breakdown on the bottle for transparency's sake. So you, the consumer, can make an educated decision on whether or not you want to spend that money on what's in here.
Yeah, 73% of it is a 13-year that looks very well Turkey-ish in its mash bill. You have 21% of a 10-year Kentucky that looks very, I would say, Beam-esque in its mash bill. And then you have that 6% of a 6-year, which is Bardstown Bourbon Company. They can say that because it's their own stuff. And the Bardstown is their 20% wheat, which makes this a 4-grain.
Oh, okay.
But now, let's talk about
Well, I've been enjoying it.
Like.
I think this is my 3rd sip. This has a lot to say. I think while still being, the mouthfeel still feels...
What's the proof on this?
Very nice and coating.
Oh, 118.1 proof.
Wow.
Yes.
Clearly I've been going back to it, so it's not drinking overly hot or anything like that.
Well, I feel like everything we said on the nose is there
That's
on the palate.
exactly what I was about to say, Chad.
Yes, your classic flavors, right? So your caramel vanilla, that's boring because so many of them have it. What's deeper? A lot of barrel on this.
I was going to say, I think a lot more barrel is coming through on the palate than what's coming through on the nose. I'm going to go ahead and guess that that's that 73, right? 73% of that 13-year?
Yes.
Not hurting in terms of the barrel influence.
For sure. You know what else is not hurting?
What?
Our home on the internet, whiskyambitions.com. I mentioned it earlier. It's where you can get the t-shirt that I'm wearing, speaking of cast strength and unfiltered, our hats, our Glencairns, but also our Copitas and rocks glasses, our water glasses, challenge coins, a new batch of bottle cut candles, event tickets, which you can now watch this video right up here to hear all about our 2 events coming up in November where you can come have a bourbon night with us. And more always coming soon at whiskyambitions.com.
Okay, take your breath now. Also, when you say not hurting, it sounds like you don't want their sales. You know what else isn't hurting? Whiskyambitions.com. I'm like, so you don't want their sales?
No, that's, I don't know. Bad segue?
You can also become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight and join us in support for as little as $1 a month, and that is where we release our exclusive barrel picks, the opportunity to participate in barrel picks, first crack at those event tickets, new merch,
VIP
merch
tickets.
discounts, after the episode exclusives where we'll compare this to another Bardstown Discovery release, and more.
And we'll be right back. All right, so this is like third, fourth sip now.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I've
lost count. I'm just
count,
drinking.
But seeing how it's opened up in the glass, we kind of let it sit here for a little bit.
It's very desserty. That spice forward up front, dark fruit, rich. But then that oak really kicks in about midway through the palate, and
it does.
Becomes kind of the star.
The oak, returns.
But it's not too oaky for me.
Has become more desserty as we've let it open up here in the glass. Yeah, for sure. More sweetness starting to come through. Yeah, more of a like a candied caramel in that way.
Super solid. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think that this release is better than some limited releases that I've had that cost the same or more.
Well,
to be fair, it kind of fits the bill of an LE with that in terms of the 10 and 13 year that's in there. I mean, we see, bottled and bottled fits releases that come out at 9, 10 years. So, it's not completely...
And a bottled and bond.
It's not a wild statement.
Right.
Is it a wild statement?
It's not, well, they come out with what? 2 a year, I think, right? So now, 10 and 11 have come out in 2023. So you look at other ones that come out twice a year. The Old Fits, as you just said. Stag comes out twice a year. You have 3 times a year with like the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the Larceny Barrel Proof. And then you have ones that just come out once a year. But
so I guess it is a limited
release. I think it is without them putting LE or limited edition anywhere on here. I would say that these sort of are LEs.
Yeah.
If you want the non-LE, you're looking at Fusion, or probably, in our opinion, the better bet is actually their Origin series, which is their 6-year. Speaking of their 6-year, so the 6% that's in here, get a full bottle of that for $50 of their wheated 100 proof 6-year, or $45 for their rye bourbon. That is also a 6-year. Yeah, I think this is the LE, and here's the big question we should be asking ourselves, Sarah. Are we going to put this in our blind best of the year contention?
I think so.
I absolutely think so.
After what I just said.
I
want to see how it stacks up.
It's a question, but I'd already decided.
You had already decided.
Yeah. Now, another question, Sarah, is this batch 11, good enough to beat, say, like batch 4, the last time it was Kentucky?
I guess we should find out.
Let's find out. Here we go.
But this one is all Kentucky releases as well, batch 4. So we thought that makes the most sense in order of where to start with our comparisons.
Give me the breakdown here. 55% of this is a Kentucky 13-year-old, which this also has the 13-year-old, it's just not as much. 37% of it, though, is a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
That looks like maybe Jim Beam. And then 8% is a Kentucky 10. So
it has 10 and
6-year-old.
13. This one has some 15. This one has some 6.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
All right,
so
we're starting with Bardstown Discovery Series number 4.
Okay. You can smell the Jim Beam on this.
Yes, you can. Confirm that was Jim Beam.
If you hadn't have said anything, I think I still would have nosed this after 11 and been like, oh, this has Jim Beam in it.
Wow, delicious.
Well, these are already going to be very different in terms of
very different.
That Jim Beam-ness, that little bit of nutty. But this one also has, again, a fair amount of oak.
But it's a little drier oak.
It is a drier oak. The mouthfeel's not there as much, but I do really like this.
It's not, but wow, the palate. I think the palate makes up for it.
It's pretty good.
Wow.
It's a dry oak, nutty, dark chocolate.
Second sip. This is back when it was like 129, you know?
That's the other thing.
It hasn't gone up that much. Proof. A little lower, 115 proof.
See, but I think that they drink about the same.
They do.
I'm gonna go back to 11 now. Tell you what, 11's got a beat on the mouthfeel.
It does. And then the palate is really just gonna be dealer's choice. It's gonna be what you prefer
Flavors.
more.
11 has a little more spice, a little more kick to it. These are pretty neck and neck. Again, I think it comes down to preference. I think this stays true to the line though.
Yes, very. Personal preference wise, I say I kind of like a little bit more what's happening in 4.
Yeah, I don't think I could choose between them. I really think there's things to like about each one.
Although oddly, Sarah, this one has more rye content in it.
That's strange. I think it's just that Jim Beaminess.
Well, also this, needs to open up a little bit. This was a fresh crack.
I can already hear someone in the comments calling that out. You are correct, and we will give it another try. But I don't know that it really needs another, a fair chance, because I would recommend this.
Very neck and neck. Oh, yeah. Recommend or not, you already did it. I'm doing it too. If you don't play in that price range, you just don't play in it.
That's
but
fine.
If you want to know if it's worthy of today and 2023's prices.
You're missing the 3 and 4 batch,
Yes.
and you're like, should I get this? Would I like it? I think you would like it.
Yes, very reminiscent. It is a true callback to 4, being the first since 4 to be all Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Yes. Hey folks, that's where we'll leave it. If you haven't subscribed to us already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here, and we hope to see you over there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay, until next time, drink more bourbon.